Hi TSM family, this is Lisette here. Welcome to a new episode of TSM Talks. There are many questions we have in life, and today we're going to start to address one of the biggest one of those, God. So we have a very special guest today, Bill Ryan, who's going to be addressing the question of what is God. Stay tuned.
So today we're starting off the first of our 5-part series with the question, what is God? We're not looking at who is God or any of the other aspects. Today we're just focusing on this very basic understanding of what is God. So have you ever had a time where you are out at night and you look up at the stars, and as you're looking up, you try to look beyond and see just how far can you see, and can you see the end of where the stars stop? It's an overwhelming experience as we realize just the vastness of the universe that we live in. Or have you ever taken time to hold a newborn baby? And as you do, you look down and you see the baby's hand. And that infant's hand is so intricate in its detail. And you see the actual fingerprints of a newborn baby. Or you see the fingernails. Or you see the knuckles and the folds of the skin from the knuckles already formed. And we go, oh, we are caught in awe. Does it stop to make you think about where does life come from? How did this all happen? Where is the designer in all of this? There are times when we hit the pause button and we stop and think about the bigger things of life. And in stopping to think about the bigger things of life, we can't help but to think, is there something beyond just me? Is there something beyond this physical, solid, material world that I live in? You see, if we could see God, then it would be easy to explain. If God was physical and that we could see and hear and touch, then we wouldn't have to have this kind of conversation. But instead, what we do is we get little glimpses of God. And I would suggest that those glimpses of God, we're trying to describe something that is so much bigger, so much more wonderful, so much more powerful than we could possibly imagine. That these little glimpses just begin to answer some of the very basic questions of life. And what we discover in trying to understand what is God, we first realize God's a mystery. That God is something far beyond anything that I could possibly dream of. And that as I look at the presence of God in my life, as I look at the presence of God in the world, as I try to grasp a hold of the truth of this greatness, it leaves me with more questions than answers. And that is because, as I mentioned, God is mystery. That we can't pin God down. We can't name all the exact preciseness of what God is like. We can never know everything about God. It's hard to grasp the idea of God being present everywhere. It's hard to grasp a hold of God being all-knowing. It's hard to grasp a hold of the understanding of what does it mean to be all-powerful. And yet that's what we're trying to do when we describe what we think God is. Secondly, I would suggest that God is not just a mystery, but God is spirit. God is not in this fleshly form that we know of. We cannot physically see God, and yet there's something about God that we are aware of something greater than us. That there's something deeper, something that is in control, even though we can't pinpoint it or name it. But we know it's there. And even though we have a physical body, we know that there's far more to us than the physical world that we live in. And when we talk about spirituality is coming to grips with that idea that there must be more than this. And when we begin to focus on the thought of what is more than this, then we also come to the realization that there's got to be something bigger and greater out there than just me. And we have this desire then to reach out to this which is bigger and beyond our comprehension. And we wonder, can this power, this thing that we call God, actually want to know me? That we have this desire built within us that we want to enter into relationship with this Spirit that we sometimes feel so close to and yet can't name. And we call that God. That the mystery doesn't stop there, because we have this yearning, and in that yearning to be close, we are coming in touch with our own spirituality, as well as the spirituality of recognizing that God does exist, that God is Spirit, and yet God is greater than we could imagine. So in brief, what is God? God is mystery, and God is Spirit. And next time we're going to move from asking what is God to actually saying or asking the question, who is God? And we're going to look at God as creator and lover. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for being with us today in TSM Talksville. I hope that this video is stirring your curiosity and even making you question what more you could know or what you know about God. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And stay tuned for more TSM Talks.